Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast episode. Now, this one's a little bit different because I wanted to give the opportunity for people that couldn't join me on the live Q&A and catch up that I did last week. So I actually recorded it and I'm putting it out on YouTube and in this podcast format. Now, it went really well, lots of interesting questions, and I'm thinking about doing these maybe every 2 or 3 months so that we can just get into this live environment. We have the chat box up and we can just all get into a conversation around the interesting questions that we all have. So as always, the websites are jeremyindica.com, somethingtosayofficial.com, plenty of information and inspirational content available there, and ways that you can support all of this work. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can somebody just let me know if you can hear me in the chat box, please? And we can see that this is all working, because I haven't actually done one of these for a very, very long time. For those that have been following for over 2 years, you'll know that actually I started doing these every month, but actually I had to stop doing these because of time restraints and other parts of the project. So that was 2 years ago. And then I had an idea to just kick these off again because the audience has grown dramatically since those days. And it feels like we've got a really great community here. And we all want the same thing, and we're all after change and inspiration and empowerment. So I wanted to kick these off again. Thank you very much for everybody saying that the sound is good. I actually just had an absolute nightmare because I've usually got this microphone which makes things a lot more smoother sound wise, because I'm actually recording this for YouTube and the podcast format for after anyone that can't make this live. But I just realized that my cable has actually broken, so it's not firing up at all, so we'll just have to make do with it. But yeah, it was a real panic mode because I know sound is very important, but thank you for everybody saying that the sound is cool. So let's try this out then. It's going to be a Q&A, but also just a general discussion. We can talk about all the different things that are going on my channels and with these live events that I've recently kicked off, and all the Something to Say movements, etc. So if anybody does want to ask me a question throughout this Q&A, you can put that in the chat box. There's actually a question icon down at the bottom here, and that will notify me if anybody puts any questions in. And yes, thank you so much. So Steve, we have a first question. Thank you. So Steve's asking, what's your plan with the venue you just hired out? Okay, so let's talk about this because this is mega exciting, yeah? So I went to London yesterday because quite a few people have responded saying about my call to see whether there are any venues that anybody would like to donate to me, any spaces. And I had a couple of responses, and one of them was in London. And I went to go and see it. It looks great. It's at a co-working space. It's in the north of London. It's got about 40 seats there available with a big screen where I can show some videos and some other slides. And it seems like it's a good, we're ready to go. They're really happy with it. They're going to donate it to me for free, which is what I need at the moment. And I'm planning to do something in July. Planning to put that event on in July. People can come and see it. People can buy tickets for it. I'm still thinking about how to organise that. There's a software platform called Eventbrite, which a lot of people use. So maybe we can use that. And we're just going to kick this thing off. Now, what I'm presenting is the same thing that I present, more or less the same thing that I present during my bookings with adults. And we're just going to get the ball rolling. Because what I actually want to do is I want to be doing like 3 of these a month all around the country. So there's another person that's approached me from Liverpool, someone from Birmingham, all saying that they've got spaces that I can just use. And then eventually we just continue building this and building the audiences until we get to that ambition of mine, which I've spoken about many times in the years that I've been doing this, of big theatre halls, great marketing and getting this subject onto everybody's table and getting them to see maybe the poster or the advert for the talk and being like, wow, that looks actually quite interesting. Because I don't want this to be threatening. I don't know whether you saw the post that I put out this week about the 3 different titles that I'm thinking about the talk, for the talk. And I've tried to word them in a way that's not threatening. I don't want people to be scared of this. I want them to almost be excited to come and see what's going on. So this is really exciting. I'm really pleased about it. I feel so energized by it. So I hope you do too. So yes, another question's come in the chat box here. Hi Bill's Porridge, how are you doing? I hope you're well. I know you've been following from the very start, so that's great. So Bill's Porridge writes, are you feeling stronger every time you do a presentation? Before I answer that, I need to say something else. So Bill's Porridge is somebody who has been following from the very, very start. I'm talking like before I even had like 200 followers on Instagram. And she has actually submitted her story onto our Something to Say YouTube channel. I don't know if you know about that, but go check that out. Now, her video has now hit over 50,000 views on our Something to Say YouTube channel, and is actually growing every day and is actually bringing so many people to the channel, and I'm so grateful for that. But I think the reason why Jennifer's video is doing so well, I think it's because it's so useful for us to see how a teenager can be involved in a situation with someone older than them and think that it's all cool, or think that actually that person really does like them and wants to be in a relationship with them. But of course, we're talking about an adult on a minor, and that's not allowed. We don't allow that. It's exploitation. It's taking advantage of a child. Because here in England, it's 16. So if you're under 16, you are a child. So Jennifer's video is very eye-opening, and I think that's why it does so well. So yeah, for anybody, once you've watched this IG Live, if you want to go and see that, if you just type in Something to Say Official into YouTube, and you'll see that there's 10 videos there at the moment, and Jennifer's is one of them. So Jennifer asks, are you feeling stronger every time you do a presentation? Like, are you getting more skilled at presenting and thus more interactions and results? So yes, that is exactly what's happening. Every time I present, I feel like I'm learning so much from the audience. I'm working out what's going well and what isn't going so well. I start to see what parts people are really understanding. Then when we enter the Q&A parts of the session, I then, through the questions people are asking me, I get to see where maybe my point wasn't made clearly enough by me earlier in the presentation because somebody's still asking about it. I see various audiences, like you've got parents, mothers and fathers, you've got professionals. I start to see what parts of the presentation they're most interested in. And then every time I present that, when I get home, I'm like, I'm gonna move that bit to the start, or I'm gonna explain that a little bit differently. And that really gives me confidence with the next time that I present, just to make sure that this is continually evolving. You know what I feel like it's like? I feel like it's like I'm a comedian on the road. And some of you will know I'm always using that comparison of comedian, because when a comedian's putting a set together, they rough it together, they get the basic structure of it, and then they go on the road and just start touring it. And I believe that I'm in that stage because I'm trying to do something unique with this, and I'm trying to do it in a way that makes people interested in wanting to know more, not so scared and afraid that they look the other way. And that's going to take years. And so I feel like I'm now, with these new live events, I'm going on the road to continually test things out and make things better. Again, as I mentioned earlier in this Q&A, so that we can end up with and you know what, I want to use the word show, but I don't think the word show is the correct term. We can come up with a talk / presentation / show that's so unique and of such quality that I can rent theatre halls out and bring thousands of people together to see it. So thank you, Bill's Porridge, and it's great to speak with you again. So the Steve Callis Show podcast, how are you doing? Thanks for your question. Do you ever get issues with social media algorithms? Because it's a delicate subject. You're doing so well, it's excellent to see. Thank you for your encouraging words. My goodness, the algorithms. They're a pain because I'm on the back foot constantly. Whenever I mention, if I use any of the explicit terms, the social media platforms don't want to spread that post. I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned on some platforms. It's considered explicit talk. It's considered not suitable for viewers. The platforms don't want this discussion on there. So I just don't know. Like, I can get really frustrated and sad about it, but I feel like I've just got to roll with it. You know, if I was a chef making food videos or a personal trainer making fitness videos, I feel like it would be a lot easier to try to get traction. Because sometimes I can see some of my posts getting so much interaction. There are some posts in the last month or so that have had so many comments, so much conversation created in the comments section, but YouTube won't spread it. In particular outside of my following, because we talk about childhood sexual abuse. Now, there are some options. I could censor some of those words, but oh my goodness, it's so time consuming. And maybe I just keep talking and find the best ways to do that in clever ways to try to beat the algorithms. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you for that question. Okay, so next, Bill's Porridge has put some more comments in there. Have you had any parents or teachers be against your presentation? I feel like there are probably some adults who are ignorant, or maybe even perpetrators themselves. Statistically speaking, it seems likely that at least one adult you've interacted with has possibly done something. Really interesting. I feel like, as you say, for sure, statistics show us and evidence shows us that whenever I go into a school, if I speak to 100 teachers, there's going to be one teacher in that audience that is doing something illegal. Whether that be watching things that they shouldn't be online, whether that be actually doing something in person. Maybe they're not doing it right now, maybe they've done it in the past, or even maybe they'll come to do it in the future. And we could even say that's a guarantee, couldn't we? We could even say that is a guarantee that that's happening. I've had some peculiar responses from schools where I'll have a assistant head teacher or a head of safeguarding really interested in what I'm doing. And then they're all for booking me. They're asking me questions. I'm giving them all the answers. They're like, yep, excellent. We're just going to get it signed off. And all of a sudden it doesn't get signed off and I don't hear from them again. I message them a month later and I get a message back saying, sorry, we're too busy for that. And I just think, I wonder what's going on there, you know. Like, it could be a number of things, couldn't it? It could be someone has shown concern for the work that I put out online. It could be that the school are worried or afraid of parent backlash for bringing this subject into their school. It could be that there's someone doing the crime within the school and has shown some resistance in some devious way. What it can't be is budget. Because I say in my emails when I approach these schools that if money is stopping you from booking me, please come and speak to me about it, because we can come to some arrangement. Because I don't want money to be a stopper for this. That's not what we want. As long as my train is paid, my travel is paid, I'm coming to see you if you've got no budget. So yeah, I think I do get parent backlash or teacher backlash or school backlash to my presentation, but I actually don't see that directly. I think it's going on behind the scenes. Okay, so please do put your questions in the question box. Unfortunately, I can't actually keep up with the chat because I'm talking into the camera. And one day, maybe when we do these IG lives, I will one day be able to have someone watching the chat so that they can keep up with what people are writing in there. But please, if you've got questions, put them in the actual question box, because then that will alert me. Another one from Bill's Porridge. How are you emotionally doing when doing this work? I'm sure it must be sometimes spiritually and emotionally draining. Thanks for all you do. So yeah, a lot of people actually ask me that question, you know. They say to me, how are you dealing with this topic every day? Day in, day out. I'm dealing with one of the most traumatic and horrific subjects that are out there. One of the most disgraceful and disgusting subjects. We feel disgrace and we feel disgust that it's happening to so many children. But I feel like my work, the energy of my work, the inspiration and empowerment that I get every time a breakthrough is made, I feel like that overpowers the sadness and the sorrow. The momentum that's building overpowers the tragedy that we have on our hands. And I feel like if the balance is always in that order, then I'm going to be safe from dropping into deep depressions because I'm dealing with a depressive subject 24/7. Like, I'm working this all the time. I don't really ever get it out of my head, but that's also because I'm an engineer and my brain during my 15-year engineering career has been wired to think like that, constantly problem solving, constantly thinking about how we can improve solutions. So even if I was back in my old career, I would still, whatever job I did, my brain's working like that. So, okay, another question. Little Miss Sam, thank you so much for putting a question in the question box. Where do you signpost individuals who reach out to you after a presentation? Right, that's an excellent question. And that is a question that I am still working out how to answer, because I'm still working out what the best way forward is for this. Because here's some questions for you. What do I do with this? Because should I signpost people, places, websites, organisations that I haven't proof investigated myself? So let's take NSPCC as an example. That's the very well-known one in this country. And if someone was asking for resource, I could just say to them, check the NSPCC website, it's great. But I've never been through the NSPCC website before. I can't tell you whether I think their work is good or bad. Now, you know what? It's the NSPCC. We have a predisposition, I think that's the right word, that they're going to be of good faith. But I don't know that for sure. So if I haven't looked into the organisation deeply, then should I be signposting people to places? That was one of the resistances that I had when I thought about emailing these venues or these organisations after I speak there, with just signposting them to loads of things. So let's say a male comes to me and says they have had a situation of sexual abuse in their childhood, and where can they go for that? I often say, if you search for a local charity that deals with the specific situation that you're looking for a conversation on, often lots of them have phone lines with professionals answering, and you can call them anonymously, and then you can ask them what their service does, and then you can ask them if their service doesn't meet what that person's looking for, can they signpost them to the next person? Now, is that a cop-out by me? Should I be more thorough? Should I actually put the work in and go deep dive into these organisations so I can signpost people places? Maybe I should, but I'm trying to spin so many plates. So maybe that is not a good enough answer from me. Maybe I need to think about that a little bit more. But thank you for the question. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay, so someone, do you do presentations outside of England? Let me ask that question first. Okay, so just a reminder of everybody, if you put your questions in the question box, please, because otherwise I can't keep up with the chat on the screen. But honestly, it's great. I'm seeing these messages constantly pop up. I'm so pleased with the engagement. So do you do your presentation outside of England? It's really interesting that you asked me that question, because a couple of people have contacted me asking me the same thing. And what I'm thinking about now is when I put these live events on, as I start to get the momentum going here in England, what I'm going to say to everybody is, if you have a venue that's available, that someone's willing to donate for this talk in your city, let's just get it on. Let's just put the thing on. We can adjust the ticket prices just to make sure that all travel is covered. And as long as wherever you are, somebody messaged me from Ireland, somebody messaged me from Slovakia too. As long as that person that's wanting to bring me to their country is willing to help me with some admin of spreading the word that this talk is going on in this city, so we can manage to sell enough tickets to cover our costs, then let's do it. As I mentioned earlier, it's like we want to get this show on the road now. One of the drivers for that is I can't sit around waiting for bookings. I can't sit around waiting for schools and organisations to take the chance on me, even though it's not a chance. We know that. But that's how they feel. Because otherwise I'm just going to be waiting forever. I really am. And it's not sustainable. Like, there's so many months where like I'm in the red and I'm using that compensation that I got from last year. It's no good. I can't continue like this. It's one of the reasons why I thought, you know what, why don't I, instead of waiting for bookings, why don't I just be proactive about the situation? And so, yeah, I mean, if we can get this into other countries, this is going to be great. Okay, question box. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got, I'm just trying to find the ones that I haven't seen because they're not coming up in order. Okay, so there's a question here that I actually don't want to answer. But let's talk about why I don't want to answer that. And that is Bill's Porridge writing in the chat that someone in the chat has asked me, do I have children of my own? Now, let's talk about this. My actual answer is no. My answer on top of that is soon I will have, which is a beautiful thing, and I'm really pleased about that. But the reason why I have resistance to answering that is because what am I going to do with all of this? I was actually met a good friend of mine yesterday and we were talking about this very thing. How am I going to separate my personal life and my online life? Because there are plenty of people in my personal life who I never talk about online because I don't want to drag them into this mess, you know, and it's not a mess. That's not what I mean, but it's an unfortunate thing that I am even doing this work. We all agree with that. Yes, it's inspirational and empowering and we fucking love it. We feel energized by it. And I know that through the interactions that I get on these posts. But it's like, right, so what am I going to do as this thing grows more and more? What level of your life do you put out in public? Where do I draw the line on privacy? So let's say I had children, and let's say I had this and that. Some people put their whole life on social media, and that's fine. That doesn't feel very comfortable for me, because on the Jeremy Indica platform, it's my pursuit to problem solve the crime. Do I want to drag my whole family into that too? I'm still trying to work that out. It just makes me feel so uncomfortable, you know. But yeah, let's see how I operate that and how I navigate that as this whole thing continues to grow. Okay, let's see. Another question. Thank you, Sarah Bush. Am I going to keep trying to pronounce their usernames, or am I just going to shorten them? I think maybe shorten them. So, Sarah, thank you so much for submitting your question. Have you tried organising through Eventbrite? I'm sure you will be booked up pretty quickly. Brilliant. I'm pleased you mentioned that, because tomorrow my task is to set up Eventbrite. And I actually really like it that you just mentioned that, because Eventbrite is the place people have told me to sell the tickets on. And that Eventbrite is somewhere where people search for events just in general. So what my the puzzle I'm trying to solve here with this event space that I've got in London that I secured yesterday. Did you see my post from yesterday, by the way? I was so excited. Okay, so there's 40 seats there. Now, I don't think I have a big enough following to sell 40 seats to people in that specific area that are following me online. So it's like, how am I going to get this outside of my following? How am I going to get this event outside of my following? Now, if I had a team of people, that would be pretty simple, because we would get the location of where I'm presenting, and we would have someone emailing every school, every council, every social work organisation, every foster care agency that's local to that event space, and say, look, there's an event there. This is going to be very useful for you. This has got great information for you to for all of your staff, and we could get the event promoted like that. But it's just me on most of these tasks. It's just me. So we are going to see how we're going to run that, and see how much we can just spread this word. Maybe it is word of mouth that's going to help us with this. So thank you. Okay, so it's looking good. Little Miss Sam, how can we and I help? Maybe I've just kind of answered that question. If you are in England and you want to help me with these events, I need a hand. I need a hand with someone who's going to help me with the admin side. I need a hand with someone who's going to go out there and source event spaces. I need someone who's going to help me, as I just mentioned, write to all the people that are local to that particular area and get this thing moving. So yeah, I mean, I need help with that. But, you know, for everybody, you know, we're all so busy. So I understand that people just haven't got time to spare to help me on this live event venture. But, you know, just online, if you want to pass, every time you come across a post that you're like, that's really interesting, or that's a great way of looking at things, or I wonder what my friend thinks about that, just send it to them. The reason why that's great is because then you're introducing the content that I put out there to somebody new. It's valuable content. We all agree with that. It's raising awareness content, so that's a good thing. But also, when you press the send button to someone else, the algorithm kicks into gear. So that really helps. Now, of course, pressing the like button, leaving a comment on posts, sharing the post on your story, obviously, really, really helps. But there is a variety of ways I think that we can create this as a team effort. And I think that just feels really, really strong. So thank you. Any questions? Get them in the comments. Get them in this question box, please. Thank you, everyone, for joining this live Q&A and catch up. I'm excited to do it. We're already halfway through. How did that happen? I'm excited to do this. As I mentioned at the start, started doing these 2 years ago. Those old ones are actually available on my YouTube channel, by the way. And by the way, I think there's something really wrong with my YouTube channel. Yeah, I think something bad is going on with that. Because I've got 28,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I'm getting like 30 or 40 views on some of the videos. And I have a feeling that YouTube have just shadow banned my channel, because it shouldn't be like that, should it? If you've got 28,000 subscribers, you would have thought that you just would be getting more views on each video than that. And I am confident that the videos are of enough quality to be spread, but I think there's a problem going on there, you know. I'm really sad about it, because YouTube's like one of the prominent channels, isn't it? So, but let's see what's going on with that. Okay, so do we have any more questions in the question box? If there isn't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about something that I am thinking about at the moment. So you would have seen that I put out a post, was it yesterday, asking about the 3 titles. And the 3 titles for this live presentation that I'm thinking of. The first one is Opening a Conversation on Childhood Sexual Abuse. The second one is Breaking the Silence on Childhood Sexual Abuse. And the third one is Changing the Narrative on Childhood Sexual Abuse. So you've got Opening the Conversation on, Breaking the Silence on, Changing the Narrative on. Which one is your favourite and why? Now, lots of people interacted with that post online, which I'm always pleased with. I love that because it just gets everybody involved. It gives an opportunity for everybody to have their say, which is a good thing to achieve. Now, thank you, Stop CSA. I know Breaking the Silence is actually people's favourite one. It seems like that's the one that got voted for the most. And that actually surprised me, because I thought Opening a Conversation on Childhood Sexual Abuse would be the favourite. And the reason why I thought that would happen is because I thought that was, it was kind of, it's so non-challenging and non-threatening, isn't it? And I felt like, well, I still actually feel like, if that event is to get in front of people who don't know my work at all, it needs to be something which isn't going to be threatening. Now, is Breaking the Silence, even though I'm probably going to go with that title, even though I didn't rank that as the top one, is Breaking the Silence on Childhood Sexual Abuse. Now, if that event with that title was put in front of your average family who knew nothing about my content, is that title going to encourage them to come to the event? I feel like it's a bit confronting. I feel like it's a bit is it a bit scary for somebody that doesn't know my work to come and see that? What do you think about that? Stop CSA has written, opening the conversation is incongruent with the state of things. What's incongruent mean, please? Is it agreeing with? Is it aligned with the way things are, or not aligned with the way things are? But let's see what we can do with that. So, any questions? Please put them in the chat box. As always, I'm just going to keep reminding people about that so that they know where the feature is. We've had some great questions today. Thank you. So it doesn't match up with the state of things. Opening a conversation doesn't match up with the state of things, of how things are going around at the moment. I'm going to continually think about this. I think I do think I'm going with Breaking the Silence. And thank you, April. Hi, April. No, it's not scary. Breaking the Silence is not scary. I think it needs to be confronting. So let's start thinking about that now. Shall we just talk about something else that I'm thinking about whilst people are joining this Q&A live? Again, everybody that's just joined, a few people have just come up on the bottom of the screen. You can put any questions you'd like to ask me in the question box down below. So I'm going to write a post about this and put it out probably early next week. And I've spoken to a couple of my friends about it too. I had quite a few conversations about it actually, because I can't work this out. So let's see what you think about it. What am I going to do about ticket prices for this? Now, the reason why I'm kind of smiling about that is not because I'm happy about that. It's because as soon as you start putting money on things, things get complicated. Now, when I first started thinking about ticket pricing, I thought, you know what? Let's just put £5 on the ticket and just get the ball rolling. Because if I can get the venues for free, I can just get a little bit of money to pay for my train, and we can just get people there, we can get mums on seats, and we can just get this thing rolling. And then a couple of people who work with me on the Something to Say stuff were like, I will be so mad at you if you do that for £5 a ticket. And so I asked them why, and they just said, come on, like you've dedicated your life to this. You are of a quality in your presentations that is more than £5. So I was like, okay, that's great to know. And thank you for that. So we started playing around with some more ideas. We did some research, and it looks like £10 to £15 is going to be a good start. For me personally, I like £12. £12 a ticket. And then maybe I even write that there's a concession available for those that can't afford it. But if I say £12 a ticket, especially as I get the event for free, event space for free at the moment, and then we can just get people there. I'm going to learn so much from the first events, because what I've got to consider moving forward is being booked and speaking to a crowd of people who have been told by their workplace to be there is very, very different to presenting something of quality to a group of people who have all individually paid for a ticket and also who have all individually made the effort to go there. I feel like if I started it at £12, and then as I improve the venue, meaning as the audience gets bigger and I can get a place with like good lighting and a bar downstairs for the refreshments and etc., then we can start building. And when I have somebody who can greet people at the door, I can have somebody, then I can start paying somebody to help me with the promotion. Maybe then the ticket price goes up. Like, has anybody got any opinion on that? Please, can you put it in the chat? I see that April Newman, yes, you're worth more than £5. Thank you. Yeah, I've left that idea before. People were mad at me, by the way, when I suggested £5. They were not happy about that at all. Don't be so silly, they were saying, Jeremy. So that's cool. So I do have a team of volunteers helping me with the Something to Say platforms, by the way. It would be impossible for me to generate all of this content. Something to Say is posting nearly every day. I'm posting nearly every day on Jeremy Indica. We got the Jeremy Indica podcast. We have the Something to Say podcast. We have the Jeremy Indica YouTube channel, the Something to Say YouTube channel. I take these bookings for schools. I'm now developing this live event. Like, we have this clothing here, which is available at somethingtosayofficial.com. I could never, ever do all of this on my own. This is a team effort and has to be a team effort. So I have 5 volunteers. One person there is paid. Her name is Kaz, and she is the genius behind all the Something to Say movement. She is really running that and owning the processes and procedures of that. It's truly great. She's a real asset, and so are the other 4 volunteers, and everybody does 2 or 3 hours a week. And if anybody here listening to this right now, watching along, or is checking this out when I post the recorded version, if you'd like to come and help out with admin tasks or editing tasks or writing tasks or strategy tasks, like, just give me a shout. We're always needing a helping hand from people who are passionate, will do anything, want change, who will at least try at all tasks, and can give some consistent couple of hours a week, maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. That's what we look for, and that's what we try to move forward with. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so any more questions coming in here in the question box? Let me just see if nothing's come in. If anybody here on the IG Live has got any questions they'd like to ask me, please put them in the chat box. Something that I'm thinking about doing, because I know not everybody can attend to this. It's 7 o'clock, 7:40 now, and people have children that they're trying to get to bed. People have just got back from work. I understand all of that, and lots of people are in different countries. So, for example, over in America, where a lot of a good percentage of the following are, they're in the middle of the day now, they're around in their afternoon. And in the other side of the world, India side, which I know a lot of people are following from that country too, they are in the middle of the night. So I am recording this, and something that I had an idea of, but it's just another task, that's the problem, is to ask people that can't make the Q&A if they would like to submit a question before the event, and then I can answer them in places like now where there are no questions. That probably would be a good idea. But again, that's another time-consuming task that if I had a team of people, we could knock out. But because I don't have that team right now, or resources are limited, we're all trying to do as much as we can, that becomes difficult. Now, 2 people in the chat below watching from AZ. Where's AZ? Can you just let me know where AZ is, please? I'm going to guess and maybe make myself look silly or ignorant by saying this, but is it Arizona? Sorry if I have that wrong. It's a bit of a wild guess from me, but thank you for watching from there at 11:41 a.m. Thank you. And another person here has put, I'm happy to assist. I'm not London based. Yeah, please, can you just DM me if you'd like to get involved? Okay, we have another Q&A. We have another question. Arizona, I got it right. Thank you. Phew. I'm pleased about that. Okay, so we've got another question. That's great. Have you thought about making several Q&As for different time zones on different dates? Like a live stream for India in July, one in August for US, yeah. That's something that maybe I need to start thinking about now, because this is the first one I've done for a couple of years. I used to do them monthly, and I just wanted to see how this one goes, because when I used to do them, it was just a long time ago. So I just wanted to see what the interaction and the interest was with this one, and then we can see whether I want if I'm going to make this a regular thing, and then maybe we do put them on at different times for different countries. But I'm also thinking about possibly turning it into, and I know that I wouldn't do this right now because it's not the right time to do this, but in the future, turning it into something like a ticketed event, a ticketed online event. Maybe when you buy the ticket, you get a 10% voucher for the clothing. Maybe you get entered into a draw to win a hoodie. Maybe you get 3 months free membership on our Patreon, something to say Patreon, and we start building it. So you're not just paying for a ticket to come to see this event. You're paying for a ticket and you're getting things with it. You see what I mean? That is an idea that I've got, and the reason why I've got that idea is because I need to make this sustainable, and I need to make this sustainable quicker, at a quicker rate than I actually am at right now, because this is not going to be able to last forever at the rate that it's going. But we know that we're on the momentum is on the uphill, so we're okay with that. Okay, so we're into the last 15 minutes here. If anybody has any questions, please do put them in the question box, and we can continue to keep this discussion going. But whilst we have yes, okay, great. There's a question here. From 2 years ago till now, have you noticed things change for the better, more exposure? That's a great question, because actually before I started this Q&A, what I decided to do was go to my YouTube channel and go and get one of the old Q&A sessions that I did. Excuse me. And see how it was. And the first thing that I noticed is I speak completely differently now. I feel like the way I communicate has improved, and I'm very pleased about that. I feel like watching that old Q&A, yeah, I mean, the temperament is just completely different. Because I'm always working on this, yeah, I'm always trying to refine what I do. And I watch a lot of comedians. And when I'm watching comedians, I'm so interested in seeing what they're doing, how they're working the stage, what kind of tone they use, when they raise that tone, when they lower that tone. And I'm always trying to improve my communication. So yes, from 2 years ago, things have definitely changed in the way that I'm communicating. I'm pleased about that. But I'm also, what I've noticed is the community that I've managed to build is just rooting for this to work. Like, they are involved, they are supporting. It feels so strong. Like, I don't know if you saw the GoFundMe that I put up last week. Let me tell you the story around that. So there was a school that approached me who had spent their budget for speakers that year and said they were really interested in bringing me in, but it would have been 1 year until they could have brought me in to speak to their teachers. It's at a primary school, so that's ages 10 and below. And what I said, which a few people disagreed with me doing this, but I said, you know what, I'll just come for free. Let's just get this done now. Now, it's not completely for free. There's an exchange still there, because I still get stage time. I learn from every performance, so I still get something out of it too. But of course, it's better if I get paid for it. But I still said, look, I'll come for free. And the event, this presentation to this primary school is actually on the 11th of June. So that's not too far away now, next week. And I decided last week, I thought, you know what, why don't I just put a GoFundMe together and just put £200 there. That will pay for my train and a little bit left over. And I thought that would be a good idea, because that allows everyone to support and get involved. And people are always asking me, you know, I don't have any time to offer on a voluntary basis, or I'd just like to contribute in some way. Is there any way that I can do that? And I thought this was a great way. So I kicked off the GoFundMe. I put £200 on there. I set it up. I put a description in there. I woke up the next morning and there's £260 in there. People would, and I only put one post out about it across all the different platforms. And that showed me that is the big change from 2 years ago to now. It's like people understand the aim. They believe in my content and the Something to Say movement. And they want to see it succeed, because they believe the way that I'm communicating is very important, not only for adults to hear, but also young people to hear, the teenagers that I speak to in schools. So that's, I feel like, how this thing has evolved and how this thing has changed. It's a strong community now that are behind all of these pages. I hope everybody that's watching along live or watching along the recorded version, I hope everybody knows about the Something to Say platforms that I run. There are big aims for that. And you know what? My prediction is that actually ends up growing far larger than my Jeremy Indica platform, because that is a community-driven platform. That is a platform where every post is generated by the community that are following. And I think that's why I feel like that's so unique. I feel like that's Something to Say. the momentum of that is building, especially with the YouTube channel now. We've shared 10 stories on there, and we have really grow with this clothing as well, the Patreon, and people seeing that everything that we share there is about empowerment, encouragement, and inspiration. Even though there is sadness and sorrow in this topic, of course there is. There is sadness, sorrow, and frustration in everyone's experience, situation that they lived through. I also just want to shine a light on inspiring each other, empowering each other with our stories and how we're moving forward. And another thing that I thought about, just as I mentioned that, is I actually want to come away from saying experience. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like experience is kind of a positive. It feels like if you have an experience, it's something on the positive side of things. So if I say, my name's Jeremy Indica, I went through an experience of childhood sexual abuse when I was a child. I don't think that terminology, it doesn't sit right with me anymore. It used to. I used to be fine with that. In fact, I used to use that word all the time. But I don't think that's the right word these days for me. I wonder what you think. I think possibly if I was to word it like this, it's better. If I was to say, hello, my name's Jeremy Indica. I lived through a situation of childhood sexual abuse in my childhood. Does that sound better? I think that wording's a bit better. Or maybe even, hello, my name's Jeremy Indica. A situation of childhood sexual abuse was carried out on me. Yeah, you see. And the wording's so important, isn't it? The wording is so important because you want to portray, you want to communicate it in the correct way for what it truly is, what it really is. I was in a situation of childhood sexual abuse. A situation of childhood sexual abuse happened to me. I lived through a situation of childhood sexual abuse. Let's see. I constantly trying to rethink this all the time. So Stop CSA, thank you for question in the box. Have you revealed the live talk location yet? No, I haven't yet. It's in North London, by the way, just in case that's your location. But what my plan is I plan to put on, what my target is for July to put on 3 events. I've got this one in North London, which has been confirmed. I'm talking to one space in Birmingham, and I've got another space in Liverpool. I've actually got a space in Wales as well, but I don't think the Wales one can work right now because the train costs, and I have to get a hotel because I wouldn't be able to get back in time, is going to be costly. So maybe that one needs to just be put for a little bit later. But if I can put 3 events in different parts of England into the calendar in July, that gives people a lot of opportunity. I can then take some great pictures and some snippets of how it goes to encourage others to also come to the following events, which will be in the following month. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Okay, some comments on this wording, which I definitely think this is interesting. So Julia, thank you for writing this. I think I lived through, or I endured, or I was a victim of, or I am a survivor of is good terminology. And yeah, I agree with you, actually. I really like that. So I endured, I don't know the definition for the word endured, but what I'm thinking is it's like I got through, I survived in some way. I made it through a situation of childhood sexual abuse. Maybe that's actually, you know what? I really like that. I lived through. It's kind of the same, isn't it? But I endured means I gritted my teeth and got through that? I'm not sure. I'm a victim of, or I'm a survivor of. You know something that I like? I think I am a victim of a crime is quite powerful, because I know we like to use the word survivor because that's uplifting for the person that went through it. But I feel like for the general public, for your average person listening to somebody that's been through it talk, I feel like if I say, my name is Jeremy Iniker and I'm the victim of a horrific crime, it really just kind of like punches the reality of it out there. And maybe actually different audiences, you use different words, and that's where a variety of what I do needs to start being developed. So, okay, so thank you, April. That would be amazing. I'm going to give you a shout about that, actually. So thank you so much. So we are in the last 5 minutes. Let's see if anybody would like to ask any more questions just for the last 5 minutes of this. How about I ask you if you, I know there's some people that logged in at the very start and are still here. How did you feel about it? Did you like it? Do you think I should do some more of these? Do you think I should collect some questions before we start this so that we can keep this going, keep the momentum going with the questions? Or have you enjoyed or been okay with the fact that we have just a couple of questions here and there, and then we just fill the time with me asking questions to the audience or just talking about general things that are going on, mostly the live events, because that's the latest exciting thing that we've got going on. In the chat box, for those that are listening, because I'm also going to release this in podcast format, for those that are listening, there's a few more people that are commenting on this on this wording. And someone's written, I personally think the simpler you word it, the more personal and relatable it sounds. I agree with that too. Someone else has written that they prefer the word survivor. And someone also has written, it's your subjective experience, so the words you choose alone are yours to choose alone. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. I also think though, for me, what one of my main goals is, and was one of the reasons why I started all of this work, is I want to try my best to get this subject outside of the survivor communities. And I'm very proud to know that I am currently doing that, because I know that people are messaging me saying, I come across some of your work, I'm following you now, and I always knew this was going on, but I never really gave it any serious thought. I don't know anyone, to my knowledge, that's been through this. So unless I came across your content, I wouldn't have really made myself more aware. So that shows me that my work is now getting outside of the survivor community. It's hugely important because I want to try to get this on everybody's table. That's the goal. And that's why the wording that I use, I think, is just so important, because I don't want it to be unrelatable to your average person. I think if you've been through it yourself or know someone close to you that's been through it, so in that respect, you've lived through some of it, you've lived through it through that person, you're always going to understand where someone is coming from when they're talking about their real lived experience. But if I can make it relatable for your average person, then I stand the best chance of getting it onto everybody's table. Okay, so 58 past. Lots of people writing in the comments here that they thoroughly enjoyed it, collecting questions beforehand, and also just chatting. So thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that's joined. There's been a number of people come through and ask great questions. It's been amazing. I'm really pleased that we did this. It's really challenging for me as well to sit in front of this camera and continually talk for the hour. So thank you to everybody for providing that space for me too. For anybody that's missed some of the sections of this, I'm recording it currently, so I'm going to release it onto YouTube and also in podcast format. Thank you for the support on all of this work. I know there are very exciting things happening at the moment, so keep an eye on all of my posts. I'm posting every day, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it personally went really well. I'm going to do some more of these as time goes on, and it's actually a real big challenge for me to keep the conversation going, especially when some of the questions are not coming in as frequently, and I need to move from area to area of the project just to keep the flow going. And I like that because it keeps me on my toes and it helps me upskill myself when it comes to presenting and discussing and talking. So I hope you liked it. Again, I'm going to do some more of these as the weeks go on, and join me for the next one in the live environment if that's possible for you. And thank you so much for joining me on this podcast.